I was just thinking that we're all geeks. Oh, sorry. We're all geeks. We're all have diverse views. I personally would like to see what you guys would see. I know we're not going to get that, but this is the sort of thing that eventually we're going to want to see everything, but we can't have it. So
We trust you.
sorry. So you can and you like it.
I guess to go on what you said about the how you can handle the spoilers, you could always just put at the beginning of however you guys are going to do it is like if you haven't read book 4, this is like this is going to contain spoilers. If you haven't read up to book 7, this is going to contain spoilers. Or just like maybe
C also, but spoiler also.
Maybe symbols
Maybe we should just call it.
that mean like if you haven't read.
14 different colors. If you're
I think we just need to call it the spoilerific
Yeah.
Wheel of Time.
Are you looking at this as a companion for people who are reading the series for the first time, or are you looking at it for the additional experience for the more hardcore fans like the Finding History?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And Amy's suggestion is really good. And maybe we could do a system of like Roman numerals in boldface 1 and 2, so it wouldn't take a whole lot of room to break down the information, because we've got it pretty much that way. And that way you could have a choice.
Back to Mary.
What's funny about that real quick is they might even read through it and not even spoil it. But anyways, so one of the ones that I would love to know about is, again, it goes along with the legends and such, any background history on things that were researched. So the board, any other information we have about Mira and her team, what they were thinking, what they went about doing, how they did it, any information we have about who created the portal stones that you can give us, any information about those objects of power that, the horn itself, those type of things. Information you're willing to give that you didn't say, obviously. You can't
Unpublished factoids.
Yeah, all kind of factual information.
From
about this.
Jim's brain.
Your shreds and then back with the collar and then up there.
Two things I like to give my opinion on the spoilers. I kind of have a tendency to agree with Maria that it should just be spoilerific, because it might just end up getting colossal in size if you worry so much about spoilers. It would probably be better just to give it a disclaimer and say, this is for, if you've read the books, you'll like this as well. And then as far as what I want in the encyclopedia, like you said with the history stuff, there are some people in particular that I would like to know more about, historical figures that have played in. I'd like to know more about Ishara. I'd like to know more about her grandfather, Joel Ramadar, the last king of Alashar. I'd like to know more about Eamon, is that how you pronounce it? I'd like to know more about Elaine, Madame Commodrin. Yeah, those people. I mean, just the ones that have fascinated us with the little tidbits we dropped. We'd love to know more about those people.
Baron's Book of Secrets.
Just without the key to decipher.
There's been major plot lines that apparently were missing. Like who killed Asmo? That's the big question. But apparently there's something that Jim put in the books that were kind of missed, kind of hints that nobody picked up on.
One person did.
One out of all of it. So that would be kind of nice on with big letters saying this is what he was trying to do, and this is kind of the missing thing.
We don't want to know.
Too much information.
Go ahead.
One of the things that hasn't been mentioned in terms of information is one of the things that I'm interested in is the workings of the wheel. So more information on the worlds of If, parallel worlds, Tel'aran'rhiod, and how that's connected with, for example, the skimming space and other sorts of spaces like that within the world. So those are things that really there's little bits of information again throughout the books, but not an overarching picture.
Yeah.
I remember asking Brandon recently. He said, can the creator channel the true power? You know, it conceptually is, he gave that answer of that Robert Jordan didn't want to talk about things that people within the world couldn't have discovered on their own. So the Big White Book does this a little bit. I know it's an encyclopedia, but even if it was an encyclopedia of prevailing theories during the Age of Legends, of the relationship between the creator and the Dark One. So, you know, they're talking a little bit about what they thought, you know, were these relationships and how it was working versus maybe in the Third Age, etc. You know, stuff that they, inside of the world, they could have thought about these that we can have versus the external, just tell us how it works type of stuff, which I understand.
Yep.
I just kind of want to echo what Matt said about the stuff behind it and what the lady over there on the far corner said about, you know, how some of the things function. I'm a pen and paper gamer. I know there's a D20 system, but for me it doesn't go into some of, you know, I would like to do like an Age of Legends setting RPG type thing, maybe incorporating some of those rules or house rules from other systems and stuff like that. Any type of the functional information about stuff like, you know, how the One Power works, how this research was done, what was the logic behind some of this stuff like that gives people like me insight into that, how to develop some house rules or something like that for that. So anything like that would be awesome.
Larry, you working on that?
Give it a lot of thought.
One person that I would love to see a nice long entry on personal note is Jan Farstrider. I'd like to see a large entry on Jan and Jan's travels.
Yes.
Kind of a factoid of these are the places and the routes that he hit, and then even if they not just throw speculation and go, it is believed this is what drove him to be a wandering person. Could be a great, you know.
Well, Jane is the author of The Killers of the Black Veil, right? Isn't it? Well, anyway, that's my personal favorite. There's a National Enquirer and a book about the IEO. That would be great fun to do some exercise. Really good.
So what's his name? Then he might really be in Farstrider. He might be so.
As they all work their eyes.
That's for you.
It may be
Oh,
nice.
you want it physically.
It may be nice to see in the DVD format, if not in the actual encyclopedia, a compendium of the fairy tales, a compendium of the stories that Tom tells. We get the tail end, or the middle end, or the front end, and we all know that, you know, they can pertain to modern history. And so it might be nice to see them put to paper.
The songs are awesome, and the poems, and the chants that the soldiers do in especially Matt's camps are great. To see them just put together in a, you know, format is great too.
Frogs getting on ice.
Go ahead.
More in-depth information about, I mean, the Big White Book does the Forsaken that we do know about. Just any other information you get written about them, love that. I mean, we're finding out that this person like killed all these people in this city, you know, killed these, and that type of information really helps kind of raise that character in your mind to summon even more evil. Because there was a little bit of problem I had sometimes reading the books, like these were just, sometimes they seem like really stupid people. But not necessarily really evil ones. And so that's what I liked about the book. It kind of raised the profile a little more in my mind. It's like really, really terrible people, which we didn't have as much in those.
To add to that, I'd love to know more about this there. Ilyana, yeah. La Trappe, as I pronounce it. I'd love to know more about any of those.
Along with the first age incarnation. So,
I didn't hear. It was competition through the world.
Yes,
Oh, sorry, I was talking about.
I didn't hear a word of what you
I'm
said.
sorry.
That's okay.
Luz Theron, Aliena, La Trompe-Posay, anything about those people would be great. Just the people that we've, been introduced to from the Age of Legends. Essentially, we want to know more.
Characters that are bound to the horn, and basically, okay, how did they get bound to the horn, or what did they do in order for the Age Lace to say, this is a really important person? So, if it's possible, backstory or something like that.
So,
Sounds like a female.
we've given a lot of feedback. Would you like to share, are there things that you're especially excited about working on for this book? Maria's excited about it. Is Matt going to are you going to make a whole chapter on that?
I don't know. It's serious.
It's very early.
It's very early. We've done things like make sure that, sometimes when characters introduced, they have only a first name, and then later we find out the last name, and we're making sure that both are in there and, in both places. And, did you stand up, Sid? Marcia here has gone through making sure that, we decided, here's the name in bold, and then the period, and, this and that, and she's gone through, and it's very tedious, and she did a great job going through, our skeleton to get that going.
It's my pleasure.
For instance, in the skeleton, Elida Doavrini Aroyhan is under E for Elida, D for Doavrini Aroyhan, Elida, and Aroyhan in A. You see, so it's part of it, to make the things easy to find, however you think of the character.
Does the bulk of the work fall on just you four, or will you be bringing in a squadron of people now?
Well, by the time we're done,
Yeah.
it may be a squadron, but right now it's just four.
Yeah, an exciting thing to me too. Not only the organization, but bringing so much of Jim's notes to light, because hopefully there'll be a lot of material that was in his notes that was important to him to get a sense of what this character is like and what this situation is like that you never see on the page, but he had to have in his mind as he was writing these scenes and these characters. And some of that hopefully can be brought to light.
Were the movie people wanting any of that kind of information, or were they?
Larry?
All of it. We're going to have lots of discussions about that.
You probably feel like you have too much as it is.
I'll tell you, between Brandon and Robert Jordan, it's a rich canvas for video games, movies, and anything else.
It is tremendous knowledge.
Also, I don't know if the DVD might be a good medium for the width of the staircase. I don't know if they have their own release schedule. If you'd like to share anything on that, I'm sure we can hear it.
Well, I had an email from Hunter the other day. They'd gotten hold of some money, so they were progressing to another stage in the editing.
So the wit of the staircase is an authorized biography of Jim Riggin. So,
The film.
The film, yes.
It was 2.5, 3 hours of Jim on tape in his last summer, in video.
And a lot of supporting interviews with everyone, a lot of them you know. So if they stumble, they need a venue. I don't know.
That could be.
Yeah. Okay, I think we have 10 more minutes. So a couple more questions. Exhausted. Go ahead.
One thing I'd like to see, the rules of some of the games, like the Chara with the Fisher piece, or the rules of Snakes and Foxes written down.
A visual of the game board.
Yeah.
You've got the rules
Because
of
I'm
Snakes and
redoing,
Foxes.
I'd like to play that, but I don't know.
Oh, chop.
You have to piece the rules of Snakes and Foxes together, but we have them.
Do we have them all?
We just don't know exactly what the board looks like. probably, but.
Stones.